Alright, you see me doing some practice runs, and this is looking ugly. My older brother would call it bird droppings. Because yeah, I'm not getting a consistent bead on that at all, and I've done it before with flux core. It's not something I'm afraid of. I'm looking here, they did a real short bead, and then they did the thick beads. Well, that's all still warm. When I flipped it over, I noticed I'm getting good penetration there. The heat marks are on the other side. Same thing with attacks, but look at that, I'm not even getting a consistent bead there at all. So, like it or not, I think I gotta go run and get both my bottles refilled. So I think that's what I'm up to next. For whatever reason, I'm not getting flux core to work right, and I think it's better if I just go and go get some gas. I'm in Salt Lake County and get gas all day long today. It's Monday. Alright, I've had it set up for flux core, which, you know, my Lincoln anyway gives me this little deal. So you can tell flux core is what it is set up for. I need to set it up for MIG with gas. So that just basically means switching these two. Alright, so hit those up with a grinder. You can see there's some penetration in it, but that flux core stuff just wasn't working for me at all, which is just, I don't know, maybe it's just too old. Maybe I'm too stupid, I don't know. Same thing here, ground those down a bit. I'm going to hit those now with shielded gas. I need to lay a bead in here too because of that gouge into the main steel. I'll lay a bead in there. Backside I'll probably leave it, lay a bead in there just to give it some strength. I have a hole there that I gotta be cognizant of. That's for riveting on the aluminum tread plate stuff, but I'm also looking, I should probably clean this up a little bit and try to get as much contamination out of there as possible. Wire brushed it a bit. And I'm gonna practice first back here because this doesn't matter much, and I may still have contamination there. I don't know, but we'll see. I'm gonna see if I can't get this better with. I know I can do that kind of welding with gas. And 2 bottles of gas weren't too cheap. The smaller one belongs to my older brother, so I'm refilling his bottle and refilling my bottle. So, merry birthday, older brother. All right, I'm gonna get back to it. All right, and that is in fact running a lot better. It's a decent tiny bead. I'm thinking for this, I was looking on my machine tells me for this thickness I need D and 2.5. I might turn it up. I might go with this, I don't know. I'm getting some popping from contaminants, but those are decent beads for someone who hasn't welded in a couple years. We'll see. I'm also having trouble. I had to turn up the sensitivity on my hood because it was freaking flashing me too much. But yeah, we'll keep playing with that, see what I can't do. Alright, I know, I'm an amateur. Yes, I know, bird droppings. I'll tell you, I admit my faults and everything. When I was trying to weld this up, I was getting all kinds of down spatter here. If I'm welding on a flat surface, some pretty good stacks of dimes here. And this is just to fill in where I gouged. On this face, I doubt I'll even go and grind that off at all. And then I was just doing some practice. That was pretty ugly. That was over the top of where that flux core bead was anyway, so that's just all kinds of popping and snapping. That's not too bad. But I'm picking spots where they didn't weld, like in here and in here, so I can practice the 2 or 3 techniques I know. Again, this is just adding material back in where I grinded it out. Don't know how crucial that is, but I'm here and it's a good way to practice. You know, this is over where that flux core bead was, so there's a lot of problems there. So I laid a couple beads down on it, and another one down on top of that portion. But here, I'm doing all right. You know, I'm doing okay. You know, obviously TrailReady's not about to hire me to assemble their bumpers anytime soon, but down here on the backside, that's a little more difficult to get to. Welds are decent in there. This thing's not going anywhere, and I'll tell you, okay, you look for that sign of heat penetration, I've got it. So, you know, at the factory, their engineers, whatever, obviously I trust them. You know, they did a stitch here and a stitch here and left it and ground it on the outside. They may have done some filler weld on the outside to grind it smooth the way they like it. The way I like it too, but so I just did a bead there just to practice more than anything. The same thing over here, filling in my welder gouges. Just add material, practicing here. Not too good there. Not too bad, but not too good there. You know, it's definitely stuck. It ain't going anywhere. I always get that problem. I chew into the metal, so I don't know, my heat's too high. Play around with wire speed till you get it where you like it, but I tend to worry on this project that my wire might be old and corroded, and that's why I'm getting some snap, crackle, pop in there. But I laid the bumper flat to be able to do this bead, and those are nice little beads there, just for filling in where the grinder gouges were. Same thing here. So I got decent penetration going in here. I got all the heat marks I'd want. Same thing over there on that edge. Did I even do? No, I didn't, because they've got a small bead here. And so I just added another bead there, but like I said, it has been a while since I've actually done welding, so I need to do the end caps for these things. That's what that flat stock, I'm about to cut some pieces, put end caps on those so it's a fully encapsulated box. And thinking about how I'm going to do, I think I have a plan for how to make those plates work on that attachment. Use what I've got, waste not, want not. But yeah, I'm going to get back to work. Alright, now I feel I'm getting back into the swing of things. That's a nice freaking set of welds. That did pretty good. That's hard to get into, but still pretty freaking good. Getting good, consistent frying bacon. Good welds. Had a little bit of something there. Not too bad, not too bad. Back in there was difficult. There's definitely some crud that got in that weld. But man, yeah, now that's what I know how to do. I want to say that it might be the wire that was just corroded a little bit. Now I'm going to flip it on its face to fill in some of the stuff on the front and clean up the front a whole lot. And then the next step is basically trying to figure out my mounts. Figure out how to actually do the bracketry for it, because that's in. I will have to mark that out for those oval lights. Might get that all marked out so I can actually use it. But yeah, I feel much better about that set of welds. Man, I was getting a nice frying baking sound. Good stuff. Here's the start of my brackets. So I've cut them down to fit where I want them to fit. Do need to make sure that a little bit more parallel with this frame horn. That one looks like it's a little proud. But anyway, get them on here. One thing to note, I did have to go buy hardware, because that bag of hardware it came with must be for 2007 applications, because it definitely didn't fit here. I didn't have all the bolts here. Maybe they expect you to reuse the bolts, I'm guessing. But yeah. Right, there it is. I just have the brackets tacked on. And I'll be the first to admit I've got a lot of work to do to brace those up and make those actually work for what I want. But you can see the brackets are right about here. There's the burn for the tacks, which means I'll be putting the shackle mounts right about there, just inside of the bracket, bracing everything on the back side. But yeah, I'm loving the look of it. Freaking awesome. There's your first sneak peek of what it's going to look like. I love how it comes down farther to cover up the hitch. And you can totally see here, yeah, I did not need to cut the hitch that much. Crap. I may not be centered there. Well, we'll have to, I'm gonna go off the measurements. I'm going to measure all this once and twice and 3 times, make sure I've got it right. This side does stick out a little bit more. This is good. That gap we measured, but somehow we slipped to the side more on this side. Alright, let's get back at it. Alright, here we go. This is the start of the brackets. So, this time I checked the reveal from here and from here to the truck on both sides. I am off in this notch. This notch is a little narrower on one side with the reveal on there, so that also provides a problem. That's probably why, because I centered it on that notch and it's not centered on these 2 reveals. So now I've got all that centered and good fat tacks on there. Alright, it's about 8 p.m. I don't want to bug the neighbors anymore. Got some more grinding to do. You can see what I've got done here. And this is where the shackle points were. We're still very hot. This is where they are. You can see the heat marks for bumper bracket, gusset, gusset. Filling in some of those cutting and grinding holes from when I removed them. Now they're back on. That's a pretty freaking good thick weld. I think I've got the penetration I need in there. I think I might be getting the hang of this stuff again. But yeah, same thing. Bumper brackets right along this line. There's a gusset there, so I have a gusset so it'll pick up the strength of this. Another gusset that comes there. I'll flip that over and show you, filling in where the old was. But yeah, I'm not doing so bad anymore. Get some shield gas and I'm good to go. Here's what I'm talking about. So that tail I cut off, I've repurposed it to make a good gusset in there. And the piece of the C-channel, those long pieces I cut out, I shaped them for gussets in there. So it has plenty of, those gussets basically are right in line with where the pool is. So that should bring all of that back into it. Same thing over here. Gusset going that way, and gusset going that way. It should make it pretty freaking strong. What I'm hoping I didn't do is warp these so that it's going to be a pain in the butt to get them back on. Distinct possibility I poured a lot of heat into this thing. But yeah, a gaping hole in there, but oh well. I'd say I've relearned how to MIG weld again. Got plenty of penetration. You can see the heat marks everywhere. But that ought to do. I'm gonna run. You can see that's what I cut out this square with. That's where those pieces came from. So I made an L shape out of them and put them in there. I'm gonna round off that so that doesn't catch anything. Round off this, round off this. Round off those sharp edges everywhere. And got some monster thick beads in there, just trying to make it all fill and attach, but it should be freaking, feel the heat coming off of this, but it should be what I want. This should be strong enough. That's what else I got to do tomorrow, is drill the holes for these. But it's 8 p.m. and I'm sure the neighbors would love if I'd quiet down for a little bit. Me personally, I need the break. But yeah, I could have taken that weld a little bit further. And I missed a weld on this side, so I can hit that in the morning. A little bit of gap there, do a little bit more beadwork there, yeah. Like I said, TrailReady is not going to hire me anytime soon to assemble their bumpers, but for an amateur welder, I'm not doing too bad. Alright, you saw how I did that. I ruined a DeWalt hole saw, then I found the carbide tipped hole saw I should have been doing it with. But I had to use a combination of both the big angle grinder and a little die grinder to wallow that hole out. It's better to have it short than long, but to get that hole out to where it needs. Test fitting until I get the point where those 6-inch oval lights fit in there nice and tight. It's up on the table now, because it's time to wipe this thing down with some degreaser and get ready to paint it. So this is the home stretch. I'm going to wipe it down with some xylene, and that should get rid of anything that's on there. I've done both the angle grinder's wire brush and just regular hand brushes as well, scraping off everything I can everywhere I can. You're already starting to see flash rust on this thing, so it's time to wipe her down, some self-etchers primer, and be done. Alright, there it is, all done up. Got everything, lights all working. Those red lights there and there, I had to shove them up just a little bit under the door to make sure it fits and clears the bumper. Which, yeah, so those ones are in, nice good clearance. They all work, everything's plugged in, all the wiring's done. I do like TrailReady gives you these pre-cut aluminum tread plate pieces. I ran out of rivets. I have to go get some more, but yeah, those things, and this is the good stuff that actually will give traction. Not quite my look with the bright tread like that, but that's fine, because when I go and finally finish this bumper and do a Line-X coating on it, I'll just bury all that. Those lights, the wiring harness that came with them doesn't quite match up to them, so I have to order a wiring harness for a 2000 and up Suburban. So I'll get that when I can. Hopefully I don't get pulled over because I don't have lights on my freaking license plate, whatever. You can see that is for, I don't know if the GMT 800s did it, but the GMT 900s most definitely do. They'd have a carriage bolt going through there and it would bolt up to the hitch. And that's what that's for. Not used in my model. I'm not sure I really care about it. Like I said, when I get to the Line-X guys doing it, I'll tell them just to plug that hole and cover it. Don't need that hole because that's for the, if you had a Tahoe with a drop down. But you can see what I was saying about that exhaust is higher than that exhaust, so I might have to change that later, besides the fact two reasons I might want these to actually come out past. One, so then I don't have the exhaust fumes rusting out the backside of my bumper again, but two, the sound. I always heard if your stuff is in, the sound will reverberate in the bumper and back into the interior, but you put it out past your truck, the sound is out. Looking at where I actually ended up putting on my shackle points, I'm not going to leave shackles hanging on there because they'll be just chewed up by the exhaust. So this is it for now. We messed up our finish a little bit here and here, but whatever, it's going to happen. Besides the fact that I'm going to build a tire carrier on this end, that'll put me a spare right there, so it's going to be built off that, so I don't want to, I'm going to mess up the finish again anyway, so I don't want to line exit just yet. But yeah, I like this bumper. Looks pretty freaking good on the truck. Yeah, and I like, it does come up and cover up half of that tow bar down there. So it's definitely bigger than what I had before. But I'm happy with it. Real happy, so happy birthday to me. If you've watched this far, appreciate you watching. We'll catch you on the next one.